everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Queue. Today I am very excited to welcome Eric Broulette. He's the Director of Global Support at WP Engine. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Meredith. I'm super excited to chat about this topic and hopefully help educate some people in the community as well.
Yes, yeah, I am also really excited to talk about this topic. Because I kind of hear it come up all the time in my other conversations with support leaders, but um, so we're going to talk about how you build and maintain a relationship with product. So I think we all know that that's important, but how do we go about doing that? So to kind of get us started, can you just tell me, first what you mean by building and maintaining a relationship with product, and then why is it so important?
Yeah, that's a great question. And first off, I truly believe that strong internal relationships only provide exceptional value for your customers, and I think also lead to like internal employee engagement as well. So really, what this means is we're connecting support with our product team, where support is fielding hundreds of thousands of interactions every day, every month, every year, and we're creating that feedback loop to product. And so we're hopefully being the voice of the customer um, for for the product and for the platform, and advising our product team on what our customers are saying. And ultimately, in the end, we're providing an all around better customer experience. So, um, why I think it's important is support always is the advocate for a great customer experience. And I think that that's actually the shared ground that we have with product. They want to be building amazing products that are driving value for customers, and we want to back that up with some data and some reporting around what our customers are saying about those products. I think the downstream impact that a strong relationship has is higher CSAT, lower support volume, and ultimately just all around better products that your customers just believe work in the end. So they're not experiencing issues or problems as they're working throughout the platform.
Okay. So now the big question, how do support leaders go about trying to build this better relationship?
It's it's a long process, and it's never going to end. But I think the first thing to do is find that shared ground with product leaders and understand the problem that you're trying to solve. So our problem was our support team wasn't informed about product updates that were coming down the pipe. We didn't feel that we had a great avenue to provide customer feedback in the moment. And so what I did is I just took the time to explain that product to our CPO and our VP of engineering at the time and said, let's partner together and make this an awesome experience. And so the shared middle ground that we had was we want to deliver an awesome customer experience. And so if we have that North Star together, we know that throughout all the conversations, we want to have the customer at the center of those conversations. So what are we doing to improve their experience? So first, it didn't take much convincing, but it took some time to understand like, okay, we believe this is important. Like, how do we put this into action? And so I met with our a role on our team that we have tech leads, which are is kind of like that middle that liaison between support and product. And the product leaders met with the product managers, and we shared the importance of this initiative. And so we kicked things off with a weekly meeting. So we were all sitting around a table pre-COVID when we all could be in person. We're all sitting around a table, and the product managers would say like, "Hey, this is what's coming down the pipe. This is what we plan to roll out in the next week or the next 2 weeks. What questions do you have? What thoughts do you have?" So that gave us the avenue to ask questions and really to understand what was happening relatively soon within the product, and vice versa. We would say like, "Hey, these are the top issues that we're experiencing from a support perspective. These are the top three or the top five things that our customers are coming into chat or tickets." And can you help us understand how we can prioritize these things? And so that's how the relationship started to build. And then the next evolution was we assigned tech leads on our team to be stakeholders on specific product teams. So what that did is that built a one-to-one relationship with our tech lead and the product manager. And they were invited, and they still are invited to all of the Scrum ceremonies. So the sprint planning, the sprint reviews, all of those meetings, so that support had a very tangible voice at the table on a consistent basis. So they're sought as really valuable team members of the product team, and oftentimes, depending upon what we're releasing for the customer, they could be a key stakeholder in driving the right thing for our customers. So um, I think some of the challenges, and I know we'll probably get into challenges along the way, is each product manager works a little bit different. So I think it was really important for us to establish that one-to-one relationship with our tech leads and our product manager, so they understood how to work well together, and that relationship just evolves over time. And the last thing that we did is we established a shared KPI. So something that we can measure and we can point to and say, hey, this is what we care about. This is what we want to be driving towards. And that KPI was interactions per customer, or how we framed it was interactions per 100 customers. And so from a support perspective, in 2019, when we kind of started rolling out this initiative, is our goal was zero point 0.6 interactions per customer, and we actually ended uh, 20, 2019 at 0.55. So we exceeded that goal, but that KPI continues to come up in conversations in terms of prioritizing bugs or issues and so on and so forth. So that was kind of our approach. I wouldn't say we're perfect by any means, but I can confidently say that, like, support feels comfortable going and talking to product, and product relies heavily upon the data and the insights that we provide from what our customers are saying.
Okay. That's really cool. So it sounds like there's there's always somebody from support like directly embedded within the product team. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that I think
Okay.
is where the magic happens.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you can rather than finding out about issues, the day before launch,
Yeah,
you can have a direct seat at the table at the beginning of the process.
and that was happening in 2019. We were finding out sometimes information at the same time as our customers, and so that not only provides a poor customer experience because we can't speak confidently to what our customers are asking, but it also creates a level of anxiety in our team. And like our team members were just expressing the want and the need to know and to train and to learn on things so they can have confidence doing their role day in and day out. And so that was a big driver to establishing this relationship between product, and then cascades into like marketing relationships and so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm curious, does like your marketing team, do they do something similar with the kind of liaison with the stakeholder?
Yeah, so we have a product marketing team who is really embedded with the product team, and so it's cool to see the relationships. So you have a product manager, you obviously have the engineers, the designers, everyone on the product team. But then you have the marketing team and the support team and the sales team who are also a part of those conversations. And really, from a marketing perspective, sales and support perspective, that's three different angles um, on a customer that just provides value and drives healthy conversations.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, it's a good case study for other support leaders for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as you were going through this process trying to launch this initiative, what were some of those challenges that you faced in getting it set up, and then what did you do to address those?
Yeah, I think our biggest challenge, um, I think, was just continual buy-in and expectations. Like, conceptually, everybody agreed that this was the right thing to do. But when you start taking that concept and how do we put it into action, um, we learned that we needed to create levels of buy-in at different levels along the way, but we also needed clear expectations on like what does what does the product team expect from support on a consistent basis, and what do we expect from the product team on a consistent basis. And so it took a lot of learning and feeling out and conversations with product managers to understand what that looked like. And it just took a lot of time. I think the biggest challenge was time. Is like we knew where we want to be or we wanted to be. It just took time to get there. Uh, and then I think on the support side, there's still elements of challenges around sometimes what we believe should be prioritized doesn't get prioritized. And so what I always say is like challenges are actually opportunities. And so while we didn't get what we technically wanted, we need to go back to the drawing board and tell the right story, right? Maybe we didn't tell the story in the way that our product team understood it. So what data do we need to gather? What real life customer like experiences can we show and portray so that there's an element of feeling to the story that the product team could get behind? And so I think that that's just an ongoing challenge around how do we prioritize what support would consider to be a top issue to a new product or a new feature or a new enhancement within the platform. Um, it, in the end, it all works out. It just might not get to the point we wanted as quickly as we'd like.
Okay, gotcha. So kind of on that note, what on a day-to-day basis, the your support teammates that are acting as stakeholders or liaisons on the product team, what what kind of concerns are they bringing to the conversation? What like expectations, concerns, and things are they bringing to those meetings and to those conversations?
Yeah, so we we try our best to tag all of our interactions in chat and tickets as best as possible because we know that data tells the story in most instances. And so with tech leads who are assigned to a product team, that product team has a domain in the platform or in the product that they are working directly with. So our tech leads know I should be keeping an eye on these five things or these five areas of the product. And if there's an uptick in interactions or there's a bug that arises after a product release, that's the type of information that we're taking to the product team. We're creating Jira tickets. We're gathering the data. We're linking off to tickets and chats so that if they want to read what the customer is saying or read what the what the issue is from a different perspective, they have that opportunity. Um, and so that's a little bit on the reactive side, and then in the proactive sense is I tell our tech leads like you're empowered to speak up and make a difference and be that voice of the customer in those product rooms. And if we're going through sprint planning and you feel like something's off or could improve, say it because we want to have those conversations with the product team and sometimes like your feedback won't be put into action, but at least you've said it. At least you've put yourself out there and you're showing the team you care and you're showing the team that you want to drive a great experience.
Okay. So I'm curious, as the director of this team, how do you go about deciding which tech leads are going to be liaisons, or like which agents are going to be liaisons on the product team, and how do you decide that?
Yeah, so tech lead is a role in which our team can be promoted into. So we have a limited number of tech leads. We have had times where individual contributors or reps on our team are stakeholders. But from a decision standpoint, there's no science behind it really. There are some areas where we align skill sets with complexity of the product or the platform. So we do have a product team who's solely focused on the platform. And so we have two of our tech leads who are a bit more technical in that sense assigned to that product team because a lot of the conversations are more technical. But from a product team perspective where it's really feature based or feature heavy, it really no rhyme or reason behind it. Just kind of yeah, it's kind of just rolled with as people have become tech leads and there's maybe new product teams that have spun up. Uh, we try to establish those relationships.
Okay. And then, so how many, I guess, how many separate like product teams are there? So it sounds like it's maybe one tech lead per product team.
Yep. So I believe we have 9 different product teams at the moment, and we have 8 tech leads, and so we do have one non-tech lead as a stakeholder on one of the product teams.
Okay. Cool. Um, so now I kind of want to transition into some examples. So
Yeah,
can you just walk me through some examples of where, having this relationship with product has just really worked out well?
yeah. I'll start kind of high level. So when we embarked on this journey in 2019, um, we didn't really know what success could look like. We hoped that it would drive down interactions. We hoped that it would increase our customer satisfaction, but we really didn't have like a great prediction or a forecast on what that could look like. But we actually ended so from 2019 into 2020, we decreased our support interactions by 5%, despite our customer base growing by 20%. And here in 2021, we are on pace to decrease our volume by 11%, despite our customer base still growing. So I'll throw a caveat in there. Like, this is not the only thing that we're doing to drive down volume,
Right.
but this is definitely like a key player in that sense of we know that this relationship is working because we are fixing bugs, we are fixing issues. That volume is just not arising again. So um, I think a specific example that I think I'll remember for quite some time is it was September of last year, and we were just seeing a massive spike in volume just across the board. Like our volume was up maybe 20, 30% week over week. And it was just continuing. Like we thought maybe we could just weather the storm and it would go away, but it wasn't going away. So we had some gut instincts as to like what could be going on. Like there wasn't like a glaring issue that was popping up until we dug in and we found the glaring issue. So there was essentially like a setting on our platform that was causing some of our sites to time out when you performed a specific function. And our tech lead and one of our managers like dug super deep into this. They gathered the data. We put like charts together. We gave them all of our like investigative work. It was like support forensics, so to say, of like digging deep and understanding this. And we went to the product director and the PM of that product team and said, "We feel like this is what's causing the volume. Would can you help us investigate it a little bit more on your side?" And they did. And I think it's because we had that established relationship, that established trust with the product team that they know that we're going to come to them with valuable insights. And so they dug deep and they actually discovered a pretty glaring issue that then they put the rest of their sprint work on hold until they resolved the issue. And so it was like 2 or 3 full weeks of work of resolving a platform related bug that once it was resolved and we like rolled this out to all of our sites and our fleets, we just saw the dip happen almost immediately in terms of volume. So I think that's just a cool example that like I always turn to and saying like this is why relationships are important because we had that established trust and we can have those conversations and we'll provide the data, we'll provide the insights to drive a better customer experience because our customers weren't happy at that time and we just didn't know why. So we just got our rolled up our sleeves, got our hands dirty and uncovered some nasty things.
Yeah, I like the phrase you coined of support forensics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love hearing these stories. Like, that's one of the reasons we named this podcast Beyond the Queue because there's so much else that goes on literally beyond the queue. Like,
Yeah.
things like this where you do have to like really dig deep and do some investigation into what's causing all this ticket volume.
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah, so that's really cool. On the flip side, do you have any like examples or just stories of times you've struggled or faced a bunch of challenges because you didn't have this relationship with product?
Yes. I don't think I'll forget this day either. We were, I think, releasing a new feature on one in one of our products, and just randomly, I was sitting in the office, and someone had walked by, and they said, "Hey, just a heads up, we're going to send 400,000 emails at 4 o'clock, and just wanted to give you a heads up." And I'm like, "Oh wow, 400,000 emails at 4 o'clock is like is is quite the initiative and could cause quite the volume as our shifts are changing and so on and so forth." So we eventually kind of backed off and rolled them out in waves and stuff like that. But that's an example that I turn to and saying like we weren't communicating. Like our team was not on the same page as another team. The intent was positive. Like there was no ill intent from our product or our marketing teams to send out these emails and be like, "Man, it's going to cause a crap ton of support volume," and that's what we're shooting for. It's like, no, they're informing our customers on something that they can use to their advantage. It was just that communication wasn't there, and so I think that's just a perfect example of why communication and consistent communication is so important. Is support is always going to hear from our customer in some way, shape, or form when another team communicates with them. And so the more that support can be informed, the better. I always say like support will never be a roadblock to the product or the marketing or the sales team ever doing something that helps the company grow. We will be a hurdle along the way. Like you should ask, is support in the know? Is support aware of this? If the answer is no, let's talk about it. And maybe we have to hold on things for a day so that we can get the right documentation and communication in front of our team so that we feel prepared.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I get kind of comes back to that North Star you mentioned of always keeping the customer experience at the forefront of
Yeah.
these decisions,
I mean, customers are why we all have jobs, right? So we want to make sure
right?
that they're happy, they're staying, we're retaining our customers. We're driving the value for them.
Okay. So, for other, support leaders or CX leaders that are listening or watching to this and they want to go about building a better relationship with product, what advice do you have for them on, getting this process started and then maintaining that relationship?
It's going to take time, and so don't get frustrated. If you truly believe that this is going to be helpful for like within your organization, like you personally need to believe that and put in the work to tell the story to the right people to get buy-in. And so it's creating buy-in with leaders in product, leaders in marketing. Make sure that your support team is also set up to deliver on what you're promising. I think that that's the most important thing is like you don't want to say like, "Hey, we want to be working better together," and then come to the table with nothing, and you're not providing any value or set up to succeed. Um, and at the same time, be extremely open to feedback. Like while you might have something in your mind that you believe is the right thing, I think it's important to that this is just a shared vision between teams, and each side or each team or each team member has had an opportunity to shape what this could look like. Because I think the more people have a voice in these types of things, the more value they feel that they're providing and shaping and feeling a part of something awesome. So, yeah, it's going to take time. There's going to be challenges along the way, but stick to it. Like I truly think it's worth it. And if you believe it will impact your organization in a positive way, like keep going, tell the right stories, and keep working at it.
Okay. You mentioned making sure that, the support team can deliver on what you're promising. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, it comes down to like what each product manager expects of our team. And so if that's consistent data, be sure that we're delivering that in that way. If that's helping prioritize bugs that are filed by our support team, holding up to those expectations, um, ensuring that what we're saying and what we're bringing to the product team is tangible and has a little bit of a feeling, and we're telling the story around the customer experience. Um, don't show up to a meeting that you're expected to participate in and don't have the information ready to go. Be prepared. Come to the table with what's expected.
Okay. Aside from the shared KPI that you and product have, what is some of the other data points that your technical leads are consistently bringing to these meetings?
That's a good question. I think it depends upon the conversation. So if it's prioritizing, we're oftentimes looking for what what bugs or issues are creating the most volume. And so it's collecting and gathering those that ticket data, that chat data, and compiling it in a sense of like this is percentage of interactions over the last week. So this bug in particular has caused 5% of our interactions this last week. So it's just kind of shaping the data in a way that tells the story that what level of impact is this having? Because oftentimes, maybe saying this has caused 500 interactions over the last month might not register with some people. And so you need to kind of put things in different perspectives in terms of percentages and interactions per customer, all like so on and so forth. It really varies by scenario, really by product manager. I think there are some
Hmm.
product managers who like get the feels from the customer experience. Like if the customer has experienced X, Y, and Z and it feels poor, like it feels bad, they know that that's a priority. Where some product managers are very data driven. They want to know like what is the overall impact. And so from team to team, what you're bringing to the table could be slightly different, but it's all data driven at the end of the day.
Okay. Kind of switching gears here a little bit. You said you started this initiative in 2019, so I'm curious how that transition was between doing all of this collaboration in the office and then having to kind of transition to doing a lot of it remotely.
Oh man, I think we're all still trying to. I think we
Right.
all had to figure that out in our work. Um, we just adapted to the way in which our company was communicating. We're extremely heavy Slack users, maybe to a fault at times. So it's ensuring that our team is in the right Slack channels. We're surfacing the information in the right way. Um, all meetings over Zoom, obviously. So it was really just taking like how is our company adopting to the fully remote um, workforce, and then how do we just kind of mold and fit into that. I wouldn't say it's rocket science by any means, or we've done anything like amazing on that front. We've probably just followed the mold of Slack usage and Zoom usage.
Okay. Yes, it's like you said, we've all been trying to figure that out. But I know for me, it's definitely different building relationships in person versus, you know, over Zoom or over Slack.
It's tough. You maybe took for granted those hallway conversations or those water
Hmm.
cooler talks where you're both, I don't know, grabbing a LaCroix from the fridge and like, hey, like, good to see you. Have like, what are you working on? And it just like spikes that conversation, and before you know it, you're 15 minutes late to a meeting because you've been having a really fun conversation with someone about something you didn't even think you would have a conversation with them about. So I think that's been a challenge. That's been a little bit of a challenge of like I think I miss those water cooler conversations, and it's hard to find those 5-10 minutes in a day where we have to hop on another Zoom call to chat through this. Maybe we just Slack about it or email or create a doc or something like that.
Hmm. Yep. I guess we're all just doing the best we can.
Yeah.
Um, well, it kind of helped, like, summarize all of this, in your mind, you know, what are the stakes here? Like, what do support leaders miss out on if they don't engage like this with their product team?
I think you might be missing out on a large scale opportunity. So if you're in like the hyper growth, hyper scale phase of your company, I think if you don't turn focus to building relationships with other departments within your organization, you miss out on the opportunity to provide scale for your own team. And so while I've like we're fortunate enough that our interactions have decreased, I think that that's just a um, like that is a tangible thing that we can point to, but it has also created just like the strong relationships that have also opened up doors for individuals on our team, career wise, that might not have been there. So I think, yeah, nothing like scale opportunity. I think is definitely the leader there, but never hurts to have strong relationships across your organization because you never know when those can open up doors for different people on your team.
Right. So have any of your support team, like, have they moved to product? Is that what you mean by career growth?
Yeah, yeah, we've had a few a few people move into engineering roles. We've had someone move into a Scrum Master role, a community manager role, um, platform like operational roles. Like we've had a good number of people kind of make that jump from support to product, which is always fun to see. Like that's one of the most rewarding things as like as a leader is seeing people continue to grow in their careers.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of that from folks I've talked to for this podcast. People moving from support to product is a big one, but also engineering and marketing, sales.
Yeah, it's a great way to know your customer. It's like you're you understand the product, but you're also understanding the customer. And so you get a really good vantage point of the business. And so if you can take a step back from your day to day in terms of interactions on what you're doing and understand what you're learning and what you're able to retain, the amount of value that you have as a support rep is immense. And I think you can, if you are passionate about a marketing role or a sales role or an engineering role, yes, there are some technical skills and traits that you should learn and understand, but like the the business understanding and the product knowledge is just extremely valuable in a number of roles across the organization.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think it was I think it was Matt Dale from Illuminate Education in his episode. He said he called his support team like the farm team for the company.
Yeah,
And he's like, yeah,
100%.
it sucks sometimes to lose your agents, like, but in general, it makes the whole company way more support minded, and that's a win across the board.
Definitely. Could not agree more.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's probably a good place for us to kind of start wrapping up. But before I ask you my final question, is there anything else you want to add about this topic that we haven't covered yet?
I think the only thing that I would maybe say is like while we here have created a framework that works for us, um, it might not be directly applicable to what works in your organization. So be willing to change and adapt along the way, I think is the biggest thing.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, my final question is the kind of the big one, but in general, what advice do you have for up and coming support leaders?
This is the big question. Um, I would say be willing and open to change and adapt. And so as your business evolves, so will the need to evolve your support and your customer experience offerings. And so if you have like an iterative mindset, a creative mindset, an optimistic mindset, and you foster that culture within your support team, you'll find that like great ideas will come from everyone on your team, and you'll continue to iterate and hopefully improve your customer experience or your support experience. So I think it's being open and willing to change and keeping that creative mindset, and like how can you do it better? Like I think that that's just the mindset that I have is like like we're doing great things today, but how do we continue to iterate on those? How do we continue to deliver great things into the future, to remain competitive in the market? So yeah, as your business evolves, evolve with it, change, and be open. It's fun. It's challenging, but it's fun at the same time.
Perfect. I know I said that was my last question. I lied because I just thought of another one um, based on that. So, how do you, as the leader of your support team, how do you create that environment?
I really think it's building trust and relationships with everybody on the team. Um, Also bringing people into the fold when you're thinking about ideas. Like don't just one day like roll out something new to the team. Like roll out an idea, like share an idea and ask for feedback and ask for them to be um, a part of the change, a part of the iteration, because that only creates more buy-in amongst your team. And like I don't have all the answers. My managers don't have all the answers. Oftentimes, the best answers are coming from those who are serving our customers day in and day out. So, um, yeah, create those relationships within your team. Ask for help, and um, yeah, be open and honest too. Like, be transparent that like we're not just going to be complacent. We're not just going to keep doing things the way that we are. We're going to get better. We're going to have to make changes because our customers are saying one thing and we're doing something a different way. So, yeah, I think the more you just bring people into the fold, into the conversations, the more buy-in and ideas that just naturally come to the table. So that'd be my biggest piece of advice.
All right. Perfect. Love that. Um, well, thank you again, Eric, for taking the time to be a guest on Beyond the Queue. I really appreciate your time and your expertise.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite. I love chatting with you.
All right. If anyone wants to connect with you further or learn more from you, what's a good way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me an email, just first name dot last name at wpengine.com. And then we can kind of connect from there, hop on a Zoom and chat from there.